Nobody sat next to Anna Webb. Not in the mess hall. Not in the briefing room. Not anywhere on the massive warship called the Resolute. She ate her food alone at a corner table while soldiers from 12 different species laughed and talked around her. Human Marines shared jokes with four-armed Krellians. The tall, muscled Morthani warriors argued about battle tactics with the grayscale Torvians. Everyone had someone to talk to. Everyone except Anna. She was 22 years old, small and thin, with short brown hair she kept tucked behind her ears. She worked in signals analysis, a boring job in a back room where she listened to intercepted enemy communications all day. Nobody cared about her department. Nobody cared about her. Her supervisor was a Krellian named Lieutenant Dross. He had 4 arms and used all of them to gesture when he talked to the important people. When he talked to Anna, which was rare, he barely looked at her face. "Report anything unusual," he would say. "That is your job. Nothing more." Anna always nodded. She never argued. She never complained. Most days, she wondered if anyone on the ship even knew her name. The Resolute was heading to defend a mining colony called Vestra 7. Enemy forces were gathering there, and the coalition fleet was racing to stop them. It was supposed to be a standard defensive operation. 40 Allied ships against maybe 20 enemy vessels. Good odds. Anna had heard the briefings. She had also been listening to enemy communications for 3 weeks straight. And something felt wrong. The patterns did not match. The enemy was talking too much. Too many signals. Too organized. It did not sound like a small attack force. It sounded like something bigger. She wrote a report about it. She submitted it through proper channels. Lieutenant Dross read it, frowned, and told her she was overthinking things. "Intelligence says 20 ships," he said. "You think you know better than fleet intelligence." Anna did not answer. She never did. That evening, she went to the observation deck. It was her favorite place on the ship, a large window that looked out at the stars. Most people avoided it because it was cold and far from everything else. That was exactly why Anna liked it. She stood there for an hour, watching the distant lights move slowly past. Somewhere out there, enemy ships were waiting. She could feel in her gut. Something bad was coming that a group of Morthani warriors walked past the observation deck entrance. One of them, a massive creature named Groth, noticed Anna standing alone in the darkness. "Look," he said to his companions. "The silent mouse." The other Morthani laughed. They had a word for humans like Anna. Weak ones. Soft ones. The kind that did not fight or shout or prove themselves. "This is why some of us doubt your species," Groth said loudly, making sure Anna could hear. "Half of you are warriors. The other half are just this." Anna did not turn around. She did not react at all. She just kept looking at the stars. The Morthani lost interest and walked away, still laughing. Anna stayed at the window for another hour. Then she went back to her small room and tried to sleep. She could not. The communication patterns kept running through her mind. The numbers did not add up. The next morning, the Resolute dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Anna was at her station, headphones on, listening to the static between enemy signals. She heard the pilot announce their arrival. "Approaching Vestra 7. All stations prepare for potential engagement." Anna looked at her screen. The enemy signals were stronger now. Much stronger. She started counting the sources. 10, 20, 30, 40. Her hands began to shake. "Lieutenant Dross," she said quietly into her communicator. "Sir, I am reading far more enemy signals than expected." No response. She tried again. "Sir, please respond. The enemy fleet is much larger than reported." Still nothing. Everyone was too busy preparing for battle. Anna pulled up the visual feed from the external cameras. Her breath caught in her throat. Vestra 7 hung in the distance, a brown and gray mining world. But between the Resolute and the colony, filling the space like a swarm of insects, were enemy warships. Anna counted quickly. 50, 60, maybe more. 3 times the expected number. Alarms started screaming throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Admiral Venn came over the speakers, trying to sound steady. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill." NSF Around her, The ship erupted into chaos. People ran past her door without looking inside. Nobody thought about the quiet girl in the signals room, but Anna was thinking. She looked at her screen again, at the patterns. The enemy was not just larger than expected. They were organized in a way she had never seen before. Every ship communicating in perfect sync. Like a single mind controlling 60 bodies, there was a pattern there, hidden in the noise. She could almost see it. Anna put her headphones back on and started working. If nobody else was going to figure this out, she would have to do it herself. Outside, the first enemy weapons fired. The battle for Vestra 7 had begun. Fire and light filled the space around Vestra 7. The coalition fleet scattered as enemy weapons tore through their formation. Anna gripped the edge of her console as the Resolute shook from a nearby explosion. Through her headphones, she could hear the enemy chatter. Calm. Organized. Deadly point, 3 Allied ships died in the first 30 seconds. The carrier Bright Dawn took a direct hit to its engines. A Torvian cruiser split in half. A small human destroyer simply vanished in a ball of flame, and the enemy kept firing. Every shot landing exactly where it needed to land. Anna forced herself to focus. Fear was a luxury she could not afford. She had a job to do. She had to find the pattern. Her fingers moved across the console, isolating different signal frequencies. The enemy ships were all talking to each other, but not in the normal way. There were no individual commands. No captains giving orders to their crews. Instead, there was something else. A pulse, not a single pulse that went out to every ship at the same moment. Anna leaned closer to her screen. The pulse repeated every few seconds. And after each pulse, the enemy fleet moved together. Fired together, like dancers following the same music. That is how they are doing it, Anna whispered to herself. The pulse was the key. Someone, somewhere, was sending out a signal that told every enemy ship exactly what to do and when to do it. Perfect coordination. No dilas. No mistakes. But if she could read the pulse, she could predict what they would do next. Anna started working faster. She needed to crack the pattern. She needed to understand how the pulse worked. Another explosion rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Emergency alarms added their noise to the chaos. Through the walls, Anna could hear people running, shouting, fighting to keep the ship alive. She was supposed to stay at her station. That was her order. Monitor communications. Report anything unusual, but nobody was listening to her reports. Nobody cared what she found. Anna made a decision. She pulled off her headphones and ran for the door. The corridors were filled with smoke and rushing bodies. Medical teams carried wounded soldiers toward the sick bay. Engineers ran toward damaged sections with tools in their hands. Everyone had somewhere to be. Everyone had a purpose. Anna pushed through them all, heading for the bridge. She had to tell someone what she found. The pulse was the enemy's greatest weapon, but it could also be their weakness. If the fleet knew when attacks were coming, they could dodge. They could survive. They could fight back. She reached the bridge access corridor and stopped. 2 security guards blocked the entrance, their weapons ready. No entry, one of them said. Bridge is restricted during combat. I have important information, Anna said. I need to speak to Admiral Van. Submit it through your commanding officer. I tried. Nobody is listening. The guard shrugged. Not my problem. Go back to your station. Anna stood there for a moment, fists clenched. She wanted to scream. She wanted to push past them. But she was small and quiet, and nobody took her seriously. She turned and walked away. Another explosion. Closer this time. The floor tilted, and Anna stumbled against the wall. When she looked up, she saw wounded soldiers being carried past. Some of them were humans she recognized from the mess hall. The ones who never talked to her. One of them was missing an arm. Another was not moving at all. Anna felt something cold settle in her chest. People were dying. Good people. Bad people. People who had ignored her, and people who had been kind. None of that mattered now. She found a communication terminal in a side corridor. Her fingers trembled as she typed in her access codes. She wrote a quick message to Admiral Van, explaining everything. The pulse. The pattern. The chance to predict enemy movements. She hit send and watched the message disappear into the system. Priority, low. By the time anyone read it, the battle might already be over. Anna slammed her hand against the wall. Useless. She was completely useless. Webb. She turned. Lieutenant Dross was striding toward her, all four arms moving with anger. "Why are you away from your station?" he demanded. "Sir, I found something important. The enemy is using a synchronized pulse system. If we can read it, we can predict their attacks." Dross stopped. Something flickered in his eyes. "Explain," he said. Anna spoke quickly and clearly. She kept her voice calm, even though her heart was racing. She told him everything. The pulse, the pattern, the timing. When she finished, Dross was silent for a long moment. Another explosion shook the ship. Dross looked at Anna. Really looked at her, maybe for the first time. "You're certain about this?" he asked. Anna met his gaze without flinching. "Yes, sir. Completely certain." Dross grabbed her arm. "Come with me." He pulled her toward the bridge. The guard tried to stop them, but Dross pushed past with Anna in tow. "Admiral Vin needs to hear this," he said. "Right now." The bridge doors opened. Anna stepped inside. Every officer on the command deck turned to look at the small, quiet human girl who had just interrupted their battle. Anna swallowed hard. This was her chance. Maybe her only chance. She just hoped someone would finally listen. The bridge of the Resolute was a storm of shouting voices and flashing screens. Officers from 6 different species worked at their stations while Admiral Vin stood at the center, his gray-scaled face tight with stress. Anna felt very small standing there. She had never been on the bridge before. She had never even seen Admiral Vin up close. "Lieutenant Dross," the Admiral said without turning around. "Why have you brought a signals technician to my bridge during combat?" Dross pushed Anna forward gently. "Sir, she found something. Something that could change everything. We are losing ships every minute. I do not have time for theories. Please, sir, just listen to her." The Admiral finally turned. His eyes, yellow with age, looked down at Anna. She felt like an insect under a microscope. "Speak," he said. Quickly. Anna opened her mouth. For a terrible moment, nothing came out. All those years of silence, all those years of being ignored, they pressed down on her like a weight. But then she thought of the wounded soldiers in the corridor, the ships exploding in space, the people dying because nobody understood how the enemy was winning. She found her voice. "The enemy fleet is using synchronized pulse communication," she said. "Every ship receives the same signal at the same moment. That is how they coordinate so perfectly. But the pulse follows a pattern. If we can read it, we can predict their movements 4.7 seconds before they happen." A Mortani commander standing near the Admiral laughed. He was huge, even bigger than Groth, with scars covering his face. "This is foolish," he said. "A child playing with numbers while real warriors fight and die. Send her away." Anna felt heat rise to her face, but she did not back down. "I have the data," she said. "I can prove it." "Show me," Admiral Vin said. Anna walked to the nearest open console. Her hands were shaking, but she forced them to be steady. She pulled up her analysis and put on the main screen for everyone to see. Lines of data filled the display. Signal frequencies, timing charts, pattern predictions. "Watch," Anna said. She pointed at a cluster of enemy ships on the tactical display. "In 8 seconds, those 4 ships will fire at the cruiser on our left flank." Everyone watched. The bridge went quiet. 0.8 seconds passed. The 4 enemy ships fired. The cruiser took 3 direct hits and began to burn. Anna pointed again. "Now those 2 ships will move to block our retreat route." 5 seconds later, the 2 ships moved exactly where she said they would. The bridge remained silent. Officers stared at the screen with wide eyes. Admiral Vin stepped closer to Anna. "You can do this consistently? Predict their movements in real time?" "Yes, sir. But I need access to the main sensor array. My station does not have enough power to process the data fast enough." The Mortani commander shook his head. "This is impossible. No human could read signals that quickly." "She must be guessing." "I am not guessing," Anna said quietly. "I am listening. I have been listening for 3 weeks. The pattern is there. You just have to pay attention." The Admiral studied her face for a long moment. Anna met his gaze and did not look away. Another explosion rocked the ship. On the tactical display, two more Allied vessels disappeared. "We are running out of time," one of the officers said. "Sir, we need to order a retreat." Admiral Vin held up a hand for silence. His eyes never left Anna. "If you are wrong," he said, "we will all die." "If I am right," Anna replied, "we might survive." The bridge held its breath. Finally, the Admiral nodded. "Give her access to the main sensor array. Full priority." The Mortani commander stepped forward. "Admiral, you cannot be serious. You would trust our entire fleet to this quiet little creature." "I would trust anyone who can tell me where the enemy will strike next," Vin said. "Unless you have a better idea?" The Mortani had no answer. Lieutenant Dross took Anna's arm again. "The sensor control room is this way. I will take you there myself." As they walked toward the door, Anna passed by the Mortani commander. He looked down at her with a mixture of anger and doubt. "If this fails," he said, "I will remember your face." Anna stopped. She looked up at the massive warrior without fear. "If this fails," she said, "none of us will be alive to remember anything." She walked out of the bridge before he could respond. The sensor control room was a small space filled with equipment and screens. Anna sat down at the main console and connected to the full sensor array. Data flooded her screens. More information than she had ever worked with before. She put on her headphones and closed her eyes. The noise of the battle faded away. All that remained was the signal, the pulse, the pattern. She could hear it now, clear as a heartbeat. The enemy was about to fire again. Anna opened her eyes and spoke into her communicator. "All ships, enemy volley incoming. Target, the destroyer on the right flank. Impact in 12 seconds. Recommend immediate evasive action." On the bridge, Admiral Vin heard her voice. He did not hesitate. "All ships, execute evasive maneuver Delta." Now, the fleet moved. The enemy fired. And for the first time in the battle, they missed. The enemy missed. For the first time since the battle began, their perfect accuracy failed out on the bridge of the Resolute. Officers stared at their screens in disbelief. The destroyer that should have been destroyed was still there, damaged but alive, pulling away from the kill zone. Admiral Vin leaned forward in his chair. "What just happened?" The answer came through the speakers. Anna's quiet voice, calm and steady. "The pulse told me where they would fire. They cannot change their target once the signal goes out. If we move before they shoot, they will miss." The Mortani commander opened his mouth to speak, then closed it again. He had nothing to say. Admiral Vin made his decision. "All fleet commanders, new protocol. We are now operating under signal guidance from the Resolute sensor room. When Private Webb gives a warning, you will follow it without question." "Understood." Voices crackled over the communication channels. Confused, doubtful, but they agreed. Anna heard none of it. She was too focused on the data flowing through her console. The pulse was constant, beating like a mechanical heart. Every few seconds, a new command went out to the enemy fleet. "Attack here. Move there. Fire now." And Anna was listening to all of it. "Enemy formation shifting," she said. "They're going to hit the supply ships in the rear." 30 seconds. On the bridge, Vin relayed the warning. The supply ships scattered. The enemy fired at empty space. For cruisers moving to flank position, they will fire in 20 seconds. Target, the carrier. The carrier changed course. The enemy weapons missed by meters. Two destroyers breaking from the main group. They're going to try to ram the medical frigate. The frigate pulled back. Escort ships moved to intercept. The ramming attempt failed. Over and over, Anna called out the warnings. Over and over, the fleet moved just in time. Ships that should have died kept fighting. Crews that should have been lost kept breathing. The enemy commander must have realized something was wrong. The coalition should have been dead by now. Instead, they were dancing around every attack like ghosts. Anna noticed the pulse changing. Faster now, more complex. The enemy was trying to adapt, to make their movements harder to predict. She adapted with them. Her fingers flew across the console. Her mind worked faster than it ever had before. She was not just reading the pattern anymore. She was living inside it. "They're speeding up their coordination," she said. but they cannot change the basic system. Every attack still needs the pulse. I can still see it coming. On the bridge, officers watched the battle turn. For the first time, Allied ships were hitting enemy targets. For the first time, enemy ships were the ones exploding. The Morthani commander watched the tactical display with narrowed eyes. The quiet human girl he had mocked was doing the impossible. She was winning the battle from a back room with nothing but a headset and a keyboard. He remembered what Groth had called her, the silent mouse. Now that mouse was the most important person in the fleet. The door to the sensor control room opened. Anna did not look up. She was too focused on the data. Enemy volley in 15 seconds. Target, the Resolute. Recommend we turn 30 degrees starboard. She heard the ship's engines respond. The Resolute turned. Weapons fire streaked past them, close enough to light up the windows, but too far to hit. That was meant for us, said a voice behind her. Anna finally turned. Groth was standing in the doorway. The same Morthani who had called her names. The same warrior who had said humans like her were worthless. I know, Anna said. She turned back to her console. Enemy bombers approaching from below. Tell the point defense gunners to target Sector 7. Groth did not move. Why are you here? Anna asked, still working. The Admiral sent me. He wants someone to guard you. You are too important to lose. Anna almost laughed. Important. Her. The girl nobody remembered existed. Then guard, she said, and let me work. Groth moved to the corner of the room and stood with his arms crossed. He watched Anna with an expression she could not read. Not anger anymore. Something else. Anna pushed it from her mind. She had no time for Morthani warriors and their complicated feelings. Heavy cruiser moving into attack position, she said into her communicator. They're targeting the medical frigate again. Frigate needs to dive now. The frigate dove. The enemy cruiser fired too high. Anna smiled slightly. For the first time in her life, she was not invisible. For the first time, people were listening, but she knew it would not last. The enemy still had 60 ships. The coalition had less than 30 left. Even with her predictions, they were slowly losing. They needed something more. A way to end this battle before the enemy overwhelmed them with pure numbers. Anna closed her eyes and listened deeper. Somewhere in the noise, there had to be an answer. A weakness. A crack in the enemy's perfect system. And then she heard it, the master pulse. The signal that controlled everything else. It came from one ship. One specific location. The enemy flagship. Anna's eyes snapped open. I found it, she whispered. Groth stepped closer. Found what? Anna turned to look at him. Her face was pale, but her eyes were bright. A way to win. Anna worked faster than she had ever worked before. Her fingers danced across the console as she traced the master pulse back to its source. The enemy flagship sat in the center of their formation. A massive vessel, 3 times the size of the Resolute, bristling with weapons and surrounded by escorts. It was the brain of the enemy fleet. Every command, every attack, every movement started there, and Anna had found its weakness. The flagship sends out the master pulse every 4.7 seconds, she explained to Admiral Venn through the communicator. But to send the pulse, it has to lower a section of its shields. Just for a moment. Just long enough for the signal to get through. On the bridge, Venn studied the tactical display. How long is the window? 6 seconds. Maybe less. That is not enough time to get through their escort ships and destroy them. No, Anna agreed. But it is enough time to hit them if we are ready. If every ship in the fleet fires at the exact same moment, at the exact same location. Silence on the communication channel. The Morthani commander spoke up. Impossible. We cannot coordinate that precisely. We are not machines. You do not need to be machines, Anna said. You just need to listen to me. I will tell you when the window opens. I will tell you exactly where to shoot. You just have to trust me. More silence. Anna waited. Her hands were shaking again, but she kept her voice steady. This was it. This was the moment that would decide everything. Admiral, she said, if we do not try this, we will lose. We are outnumbered. Even with my predictions, we cannot dodge forever. Eventually, they will wear us down. This is our only chance. Ben took a long breath. Anna could hear it through the communicator. All fleet commanders, he said finally, prepare for coordinated strike. Target coordinates and timing will come from private web. On our mark, you will fire everything you have. No hosetaschen. No dilas. Voices acknowledged the order. Some sounded doubtful. Others sounded scared. But they all agreed. Anna turned back to her console. The data was clear now. She could see the pulse pattern perfectly. She knew exactly when next window would open. 60 seconds, she said. All ships moved to firing positions. Target the enemy flagship, center mass. Wait for my signal. The coalition fleet began to shift. Battered ships turned toward the enemy formation. Weapons powered up. Gunners locked onto their target. The enemy noticed the movement. They started to respond, trying to block the approach. But Anna was watching. Enemy cruiser moving to intercept. All ships adjust heading 5 degrees. Now, the fleet adjusted. The cruiser missed its blocking position. Destroyer group coming from the left. Ignore them. Stay on target. 30 seconds. Anna's heart was pounding. She could feel the sweat on her forehead. Everything depended on the next half minute. Groth stood behind her, silent and still. She had almost forgotten he was there. 20 seconds. Final approach. Do not stop for anything. Enemy weapons fire streaked toward the coalition ships. Some of it hit. A frigate lost its forward section. A cruiser took damage to its engines. But they kept coming. 10 seconds. Weapons free on my mark. Anna watched the pulse pattern on her screen. The flagship was preparing to send another command. Its shields were about to drop. 5 seconds. She took a breath. 4. The fleet held steady. 3. Weapons locked on target. 2. Shield generators on the flagship flickered. 1. The shields dropped. Fire. Every ship in the coalition fleet fired at the same moment. Beam, missile, kinetic hounds. Everything they had left. All of it aimed at one point in space. The enemy flagship never saw it coming. The combined fire tore through the unshielded section of the hull. Explosions rippled across the massive vessel. Secondary blasts erupted as power systems overloaded. The pulse transmitter, the heart of the enemy coordination system, vaporized in a ball of white light. And then the flagship broke apart. Anna watched on her screen as the huge vessel split into burning pieces. Around it, the enemy fleet began to falter. Without the master pulse, their perfect coordination collapsed. Ships that had moved like one being now drifted in confusion. Some fired at random. Others tried to retreat. A few crashed into each other. It worked, Anna whispered. She could barely believe it. It actually worked. On the bridge, cheering erupted. Officers who had been silent with fear moments ago were now shouting with relief. Admiral Ven's voice came through the communicator, calm but warm. All ships, press the attack. The enemy is in disarray. Finish this. The coalition fleet surged forward. Now they were the hunters. Now they were the ones with the advantage. Anna sat back in her chair. Her whole body was shaking. She had done it. The quiet girl that everyone ignored had just won the battle. Groth stepped forward and looked at her with something like respect. How did you know? He asked. How did you know the window would be long enough? Anna looked up at him. Her face was pale and exhausted, but her eyes were bright. I did not know, she said. I just listened, and I hoped. Groth stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Humans, he said. You are stranger than I thought. Anna almost smiled. We get that a lot. The enemy fleet ran. Without their flagship, without their perfect coordination, they were just 60 ships against a force that knew how to fight back. They scattered in every direction, chased by coalition vessels eager for revenge. That'd be why the time the last enemy ship jumped to faster than light and fled. Only 19 of them remained. The rest were burning wreckage drifting through space near Vestra. 7 that the mining colony was safe. The battle was over. Anna sat in the sensor control room long after the fighting stopped. She did not have the energy to move. Her hands were still trembling. Her head hurt from hours of concentration. She just sat there, staring at a screen that now showed nothing but quiet static. Groth had left at some point. She did not remember when. The door opened and closed several times as officers came to check on her. but she barely noticed him. That it was Lieutenant Dross, who finally got her attention. He walked in carrying 2 cups and set one down beside her console. "Coffee," he said. "You look like you need it." Anna took the cup with shaking hands. The warmth felt good against her fingers. "Thank you," she said. It was strange to hear her own voice. She had talked more in the last few hours than she usually did in a month. Dross sat down in the chair next to her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "I should have listened to you earlier," Dross said finally. "Before the battle, when you tried to tell me something was wrong." Anna shrugged. "Nobody listens to me. I am used to it. That does not make it right." Dross looked at her with all 4 of his eyes. "I am sorry, Webb. You deserved better from me." Anna did not know what to say. Nobody had ever apologized to her before. Not like this. "It is okay," she managed. "No, it is not. But I will try to be better." Dross stood up. "The Admiral wants to see you on the bridge. When you are ready." He left her alone with her coffee. Anna sat for a few more minutes, gathering her strength. Then she stood up and walked toward the bridge. The corridors were different now. People looked at her as she passed. Not through her. At her. Some of them nodded. A few even said her name. Word had spread through the ship about what she had done. The quiet girl from Signals had saved the fleet. Anna reached the bridge and stepped inside. The chaos of battle was gone, replaced by calm efficiency. Officers worked at their stations, coordinating the cleanup efforts and organizing the surviving ships. Admiral Vin stood at the center of it all. When he saw Anna, he turned and walked toward her. "Private Webb," he said. His voice was formal, but there was warmth behind it. "On behalf of the Coalition fleet and the people of Vestra 7, I want to thank you. We would all be dead without your actions." Anna felt her face grow hot. "I was just doing my job, sir." "No, you did far more than your job. You saw something that no one else could see, and you had the courage to make us listen." Vin placed a hand on her shoulder. "There will be medals for this. Promotions. Recognition. You have earned all of it." Anna nodded. She did not know what else to do. The Mortani commander approached them. The same warrior who had laughed at her analysis, who had called her a child playing with numbers. He stopped in front of Anna and looked down at her. His scarred face was hard to read. "I was wrong about you," he said. "I was wrong about your kind. The quiet ones." He pressed his fist to his chest in a Mortani salute. "You have my respect, human." Anna looked up at him. "Thank you," she said simply. The commander turned and walked away. Anna watched him go, still not quite believing any of this was real. That evening, Anna went back to the observation deck. Her favorite spot, the cold room with the big window that nobody else visited. But this time, she was not alone. Groth was there, sitting on a bench near the window. He looked up when she entered, but did not say anything. Anna sat down on the other end of the bench. They watched the stars together in silence. "I used to think humans were soft," Groth said after a while. "Weak, too quiet to matter. A lot of people think that," Anna said. "I was wrong." Groth turned to look at her. "You listened when no one else did. You saw what we all missed. And you saved us. All of us." Anna shrugged. "I just paid attention." Groth shook his head slowly. "No, you did more than that. You believed in yourself when nobody else did. That takes a different kind of strength." Anna thought about that. She had never considered herself strong. She was small, quiet, easily overlooked. But maybe strength was not about size or volume. Maybe it was about knowing who you were and not giving up, even when the whole universe seemed to be ignoring you. "The Mortani commander wants to meet with you," Groth said. "He wants to understand how humans like you think, how you see patterns that others miss." Anna smiled slightly. "Tell him I will meet with him. But he has to wait." Groth raised an eyebrow. "Wait, just a little," Anna said. She turned back to the window and the endless stars beyond. "I have waited my whole life for people to notice me. He can wait a few days." Groth stared at her. Then, for the first time since Anna had known him, he laughed. "Humans," he said, "I will never understand you." Anna's smile grew just a little wider. "Good." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars drift past. The battle was over. The colony was safe. And Anna Webb, the quiet girl that everyone ignored, had finally been heard.